What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Redriveraviation. Hope you guys had a fantastic day today, and today I have a very exciting video for you guys. Today we're back from model airports around the Southern Plains region, and we have a really cool video today encompassing 3 airports in South Texas. So today we're going to be taking a look at not only 1, not only 2, but yes, 3 airports around this area that are very similar, and I'm really excited to dive into these. So let's go ahead and take a look at not only the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport, McAllen International Airport, and the Harlingen Valley International Airport. So yeah, everybody, I really hope that you're excited for these 3 airports. I'll kind of explain it here in a little bit, but really excited for this, and I hope each and every one of you are as well. So yes, we're starting off here at the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport. So here's what happened. So I was going around looking at the airports that I wanted to cover for the next airport update, and I decided to go to South Texas. So I started at Brownsville, and I saw Lavella, and that really caught my eye. So I was like, okay, sweet, this is going to be pretty cool. So that was the plan. And then I go over down the road and I see that there's an Allegiant A320 landing down the road. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So McAllen, I find McAllen. I'm like, I've heard of this place, but didn't know that it, it's one of those that you know that the place exists, but you never know where it is. So I was like, okay, so it's literally right here. So why don't I put them right next to each other since they're so similar? And then right as I was getting ready for this update earlier yesterday, before I was getting ready to film these 2 updates, I saw a Sun Country 737 landing up the road, and I found Harlingen. So again, one of those that you've heard of before, but you don't know where it is. So Harlingen almost got its own video. I was really close, but by the time I put the American United right next to each other, I thought it was only fair to put them all into one massive video here to cover 3 airports in the Southern Plains region. So welcome to South Texas, everybody, as we have a marathon to go over today. I really hope each and every one of you are excited for today's video. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started. So as you would expect, this is pretty much like 3 Southern Plains airports in one video, but with all the similarities, and there are some major differences too. I thought it'd be really cool to put them all up next to each other here in one video. So let's go ahead and get started. So we'll start right here and I'll compare and contrast, starting right here with the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport. So this airport, it was kind of tough to find information on Brownsville, but we did find some. So let's go ahead and get started. So the big purpose that Brownsville had over the years, South Padre Island, was that it connected the United States to Mexico, which was really cool. So various airlines got on top of that, including Pan Am, which was super cool. So that was very nice to see. Sorry, I didn't do the best job here on my handwriting. Let's take a look. So they were getting after in 1931. Then 1934, Braniff started service here too. So it was very cool to see them. Eastern Airlines started service in 1939 with some various destinations. And then in 1947, Pan Am came back after a termination of their original 1931 service, as they had a flight from Houston to here in Brownsville, and then it went on to Mexico City. So that was really cool as well. Texas International throughout the 1970s and 1980s had some really cool services, including flights to Houston, McAllen, ironically enough. And then we also had service on Richards Airlines, hopefully I said that right. And we had service on them to McAllen and San Antonio as well, which was really cool. And then this airport also had some various names, so let me get those pulled up so we can talk about those. So it's called the Brownsville Army Field for an extended period of time, so that was really interesting. And they actually had various military operations going on here, as you would expect, including, let's see here, they had the CAF involved, which was really interesting. They renovated B-29s on the site, which was really cool. And they also overhauled 6,000 engines, which is really impressive. So certainly some very interesting notes here at the Brownsville Airport, no doubt about it. And they had quite a extensive list of historical airline service too, so I highly encourage you to go to read that if you are interested. But yeah, let's talk about the current air service here at the airport, as we do have some really cool ones. Let me make sure there wasn't any other major history that I missed. Yeah, Pan Am had their major service, and then now we have quite a variety. And yeah, various airplanes, 727s, DC-9s, all those jets that you would expect as well. And Ozark also served here from St. Louis, which was really interesting too. Royal Airlines was serviced here. Musair also served here too, which was really interesting. I think we actually had for a very short period of direct service to Tulsa, it appears, which is really interesting, unless if it was a continuation service, which is really interesting. Continental had various aircraft here, ATR, 737s, those various ones too. And there is not much cargo going on here. Cargo is pretty much obsolete, but we do have general aviation operations, and then I believe every now and again they'll have some military as well. So let's talk about the air service here at the Brownsville Airport. At gate American Airlines operates service to Dallas on their regional partners with Envoy and PSA as of late, so that's that's why they're here today, and I'm sure Mesa was here too for quite a while. They utilize Gate 3. Avelo Airlines, the newest airline to the party, they serve 3 destinations here out of Brownsville, including Burbank, Las Vegas, and Orlando. They utilize Gate 2. And then United for sure operates out of gate number 4. That's what I've seen mainly on Flight Radar, although the website does say that they use gate number 1, and that's my logical assumption for the second overnight parks. United Airlines serves Houston on their regional jets as well. Mainly the Embraer 145, but Mesa CRJ-900s have been getting in here lately too. So that's what we see here right now. So we have a bunch of aircraft to cover today, or I guess not as many, but we have a bunch in this video to cover, I shall say. So I'm excited for this, and I hope each and every one of you are as well. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and start over here at gate number 1. Okay, so at gate number 1, we have this United Express CRJ-900 on the behalf of Mesa Airlines here. If I can get my camera to work, it's kind of embarrassing that we're at a small airport. My camera is refusing to work, especially in good light too, which is kind of sad. Okay, nevertheless, we have this Mesa CRJ-900 though. This aircraft's operating as United Airlines flight. I can't understand the logic right now. United Airlines Flight 6155 coming in from the Houston George Bush Intercontinental International Airport. This aircraft is currently arriving in at scheduled to arrive in at 9:46 p.m., but ends up arriving in at 9:43 p.m. in the flight time of 52 minutes. So this is going to be a common visitor throughout is all these Houston services. So glad to see they overnight 2 here. They have about 5 daily services here. Again, mainly on the Embraer 145, but they also have the CRJ-900 quite a bit too. So that is certainly very cool to see to say the least. And right here we have the star of the show. This is the Avelo Airlines Boeing 737-800. This aircraft is coming in from the Orlando International Airport today as XP733. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 5:55 p.m., but unfortunately is quite late, arriving in at 7:23 p.m., good for 2 hours and 16 minutes of flight time. So yeah, Avelo started service here, I believe, earlier here in 2023. I believe they started with Orlando and Burbank, but they've since added on Las Vegas, which is really cool. So very cool to see this. They're on various days of the week. So I think Orlando is like going into Wednesday, Saturday, and then Vegas, I think, is Monday, Friday, and a couple extra days, and then same for Burbank. So been really cool. I think some of the routes had additional frequencies. I think a couple more of them were more than twice a week, which is really cool. So yeah, Avelo is certainly doing really well here, it appears. So that's really cool, and I think they really fit here well. Obviously, McAllen, as we'll see, has another carrier that I previously referred to. So it makes perfect sense here for Avelo to serve Brownsville. I think it works really well here, and there's another low-cost carrier at another airport that will be in this video that we'll talk about too. So overall, I think Avelo chose the right airport here, and I think they're serving a really good market with this leisure traffic. So overall, really good, and I think they've done really well there. So really impressed with their operation, and a great job there by them. So good job there for Avelo. And then next up right here, at gate number 3, we have this American Eagle CRJ-900 on the behalf of PSA Airlines. This aircraft is currently coming in from the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, as you'd expect. This is American Airlines Flight 5297, operated by PSA Airlines, which is really cool. I didn't think PSA would operate to an airport like this, so how cool is that? This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 7:32 p.m., but ends up arriving in at 8:43 p.m., so certainly about an hour and 10 minutes late. The flight took an hour and 14 minutes to complete. So yeah, really interesting. American Airlines has historically had quite a bit of service here, so it's really nice to see what they're doing here. They typically only overnight 1 aircraft here at Brownsville, so very nice to see that right there, and they usually have about 4 flights a day or so that's absolutely fantastic for the boys. Very nice. And then right here, gate 4, like I said, we would come back to United, and here they are with this Embraer 145. There is a very good chance that they might just put one on the hard stand. I don't really know what they do, but it doesn't make sense for them to be this far split up. But here's this, one's mainly the overflow gate, 4 is their main gate. As we have this United Express Embraer ERJ-145XR, this United Airlines Flight 4269 coming in from the Houston George Bush Intercontinental International Airport once again. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 7:29 p.m., but ends up arriving in at 7:26 p.m., good for a 51-minute flight time. So nice and early on that flight. Glad to see it. It's really cool, and yeah, they're doing really good here. So absolutely fantastic effort right there. Then we have this Thenon 300. This is actually going to be substituting in here for a it was a really unique aircraft. I really wanted to feature it just because of how different it was. So this is going to be subbing in here for a Cessna T210 in turbo Certron, something like that. I know it's not a perfect representation, but a really unique bizjet. But anyways, this aircraft is currently scheduled to arrive in as November 524 Mike coming in from Tafco, and this aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 2:01 p.m., but unfortunately has an unknown status, so not sure if it made it or not, but just thought I'd feature it just in case because it does look pretty cool, and why not? Because we have the ability to do so, and just making a reference, man. So absolutely love the effort right there, and that is absolutely fantastic right there, to say the very least, as I try to find another graphic for a really unique aircraft. Okay, so yes, this is very unique, and I talked about this in the Amarillo update, how we'd have really different aircraft all around these updates. So let me make sure that's into the best light it possibly can be. Right here we have this Alaska Airlines Boeing 737-800. This aircraft is currently arriving in from the Los Angeles International Airport as Alaska Airlines Flight 9540. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 1:20 p.m. but ends up arriving in at 1:17 p.m. 3 minutes early on that 2-hour and 54-minute flight, and is taxiing over to the hangar right now. So yes, Alaska does have a maintenance facility here, which is pretty interesting. They do have quite a few across the United States. Obviously, their main hubs, Seattle and Portland, but they also have Oklahoma City, and it appears to be Brownsville gets a couple aircraft here from them too. So very interesting. Maybe they'll serve one day. Who knows? I think it would be pretty cool. But yeah, really interesting here on the Brownsville operation. It looks absolutely fantastic. So hopefully that didn't take too long. I didn't want it to be too extravagant, but I certainly wanted to go into detail here. So with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and transition? Let's get on the bus and go down the road real quick. So everybody's invited for our next visit to our next airport. So let's go get on the bus, go down the road, and see what we can find. Alrighty everybody, welcome to the McAllen International Airport. So this is located west of Brownsville, probably about 30 minutes down the road or so. It's really close, so it's really surprising. So like I said earlier in the video, I thought it was too good, and then we'll have another airport that we're going to take a look at here in a minute as well. So welcome to McAllen. McAllen has some really cool history to it as well, not just Brownsville. So we have a bunch of really cool history to dive into with this airport, so let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, real quick though, here's the airport layout. It consists of 6 gates right here, so we'll talk a little bit more about that in detail here in a minute, but just want to give you a nice little overview here of the terminal before we get started. We also have a bunch of special visitors here too, which will be super fun to take a look at. Okay, so getting started here at McAllen, just like Brownsville, Trans-Texas Airlines had a really big presence with their doubles DC-2 and DC-3 aircraft flying to various airports across Texas. And then Texas International also had several routes too. They flew Convair 600s and DC-9s to places like Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, what you would expect around here, which is really cool. One of the coolest services is that Continental also had a route here in 2009. It went Houston, McAllen, and then on to Mexico City. So that was really cool to see as well. Delta Airlines had a really interesting history here compared to the Brownsville. They picked McAllen, which I thought was really interesting. So they had routes from 2006 to 2008. They started with Atlanta, then they pulled off of that. That was a CRJ 700, by the way. And then they jumped on top of Memphis in 2010. And then they ended up flopping that and changed that over to Atlanta once again, once the Memphis hub got decommissioned in 2011. And then they pulled off that route as well by 2012. Also CRJ-700s there. So really interesting for reference. So that was really cool. Allegiant Air made their debut here at the McAllen International Airport really early in the process for them. They actually started routes in 2009. They started with the 3 that they still have, which is really cool. Los Angeles on a seasonal basis, Las Vegas, which is almost daily, which is really cool, as we'll talk about more in a minute, and Orlando Sanford. LAX did get suspended for a brief period of time, but luckily made it back into the lineup and has been here ever since. Really cool on the latest developments for the international routes, however, though, is that in 2012 in January, Mexican air carrier Amar announced they would be flying to Mexico City, so that was really cool. They started on their ATR aircraft, so that was the ATR 42 and 72, and I don't know how long that service ended up going for. It doesn't particularly say, but nevertheless, at some point it got suspended, and then it ended up coming back on March 18th of 2021. They announced they would fly twice weekly services to Monterey starting in April of 2021, which they did. And on February 15th of this year, 2023, they ceased operations. I think this 2023 video, hopefully it might be a little bit later, but nevertheless, that's what happened there. So really interesting there. Like I said, DC-9s, Convair 600s for Trans-Texas and Texas International. So really cool history there. And yeah, that was the major history there. So there's also a couple of other additional notes too for McAllen Airport, so let's talk about that. They have various amenities too. In 2006, the airport had an expansion, which was really cool, and they added gate number 5, this one right here, with the launch of Delta, so that was really cool. And I don't know how Gate 6 ended up getting there, if they relabeled the gates or how exactly that worked. I couldn't find any information on that. What I did find information on is they did do some recent renovations in 2012 to modernize the terminal and work on those various amenities, so that went really well too. But the good news here at McAllen is that we are going to be getting reinstated with international service, which is super exciting. So I already have it in here. I know I'm a little early to it, but beginning on March 10th of 2024, Aeromexico Connect will begin new nonstop service to Mexico City once again, this time to the brand new international airport, as the United States has changed the rating once again for Mexico Airlines. They are now flying back in here and starting a bunch of new routes to the United States, and McAllen certainly gets one of the biggest wins with a nonstop link to Mexico once again. So how exciting is that for all of our passengers of interest of a service like that? Other air services include the 3 that we mentioned for Allegiant: seasonal service to Los Angeles, year-round service on a daily basis pretty much to Las Vegas, and Orlando twice a week to the Sanford International Airport. They utilize gate number 3. American Airlines flies mainline and American Eagle flights to Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. They use the gates 5 and 6, which are the 2 right here. And then United Airlines has a loan service to the Houston George Bush Intercontinental Airport, and they use gates 1, 2, and 4, both on mainline and regional jet partners. So overall, we have a bunch to check out in this update, and I'm excited to check it out. So let's go ahead and take a look at our second airport here in the South Texas region. Beginning here, gate number 1, we have this United Express Embraer ERJ-175 here. As I get this pulled up, apologies, making sure that I have the right one. This aircraft is currently coming in from the Houston George Bush Intercontinental Airport as United Airlines Flight 6097. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive at 7:57 p.m., but unfortunately it's going to be nearly an hour delayed, coming in at 8:42 p.m. This aircraft had a flight time of 57 minutes. So yeah, Houston's certainly one of the probably the most popular route here at McAllen. Dallas is close, but Houston takes the cake as they have like 6 or 7 flights here a day. So certainly a really good shuttle service to get anybody that is in the area where they want to go. So overall, looking good here at the concourse, and it looks really nice. The terminal design is really unique. I'll take a look at that before we take it over to our other aircraft. Here at gate number 3, we have this Allegiant Air Airbus A320. This aircraft is currently coming in from Las Vegas, Nevada as Allegiant Flight G485. This aircraft is scheduled to arrive in at 8:27 p.m. and is only going to arrive a few minutes behind at 8:40 p.m. This aircraft is coming in at a flight time of 2 hours and 25 minutes. Now, this is one of the few Allegiant routes that I know in the network that is nearly daily. I think they only really miss on Tuesdays and Saturdays. I think the other days of the week that are flying at least 1, if not 2 daily flights, which is really impressive. So it's a really good link. I think it makes a bunch of sense. There's not much, if there's not any other low-cost destinations to go to outside of what Allegiant provides. In Las Vegas, certainly makes sense to be the most popular one here, so that's really cool. As I said, they have seasonal service to Los Angeles in the summer, and then they also have year-round double weekly service to Orlando as well. So they have a bunch of really cool routes throughout here, and hopefully we'll see them expand more in the future. But again, Avelo picked Brownsville, as we just saw, so that's why Allegiant is here. So very nice, and again, they've been going strong here since 2009, so that's been super cool to see right there. Angle of this gate's really weird. I don't know why it was set up this way, but it's certainly very unique at that. Right here we have this American Airlines Boeing 737-823 here at gate number 5. This aircraft's arriving in is American Airlines Flight 2409 from Dallas-Fort Worth. This aircraft is scheduled to arrive in at 8:53 p.m., but actually ends up coming in for a flight time of 8:57 p.m., so just 4 minutes behind. 1 hour and 13-minute flight time, so Dallas is the only service from American. They fly mainline on it multiple times a day. Sometimes it's in the evening, like you saw right there. Other times it's like at 12 or 1 o'clock. So certainly really nice to see Dallas going really strong here for American, and I'm glad they have a presence here at McAllen, as I certainly think it benefits them in various ways. Let's go ahead and bounce over to the other side so we can see a little bit. Right here, gate number 6, we have this American Airlines Airbus A319. I'll go ahead and set it down with CFM engines. I'm going to go ahead and also get it fully into the light so you can see what we're talking about. This American Airlines Flight 1351 coming in from Dallas as well. This aircraft is scheduled to arrive in at 12:08 p.m., but ends up arriving in at 12:41 p.m. Good for a flight time of an hour and 14 minutes. So a couple of slight delays here at McAllen today, but luckily they're short and they should be able to make up enough time to get back to their hubs for the connecting flight. So this aircraft will be heading right back to Dallas here at gate number 6, which is another unique angle here. Also, this piece is supposed to be a circle, but unfortunately I don't have any adequate circle to really represent it. So, but this is correct with this like L shape right here. It's really cool in the satellite imagery. I would recommend looking at it if you're interested. But certainly quite an interesting piece there. I'm not particularly sure why they do it, but certainly unique there at the very least. So overall, really cool here on this aircraft. Let's see if we can sneak in there to that gap right here at gate number 4. We have this United Express Embraer ERJ-145XR this time. This aircraft's coming in for the Houston Intercontinental Airport as United Flight 4227. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 6:04 p.m., but ends up arriving in at 5:46 p.m., good for a flight time of 56 minutes. So for United regional jets, Mesa CRJ-900s, United Embraer 145s, and 175s fly in here, with the 145 probably taking the cake, although they're pretty evenly distributed. So overall, pretty cool to see that, and glad that they're doing well with all the various services that they provide here. So ultimately, really nice to see right there in general. So absolutely fantastic. And yes, this is why McAllen is certainly the big brother, I would argue. Not only do they have the American mainline service, but they also have the United mainline services. Here we go with this United Airlines Boeing 737-900. The aircraft flying in on this day was actually 9ER, so that's pretty cool. But anyways, this is United Airlines Flight 416 coming in from Houston once again for the final time. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 9:09 p.m., but ends up arriving in at 9:26 p.m. Good for a flight time of 54 minutes. So glad to see the mainline going really strong, and it makes sense. Again, they don't have any, outside of Allegiant, no additional low-cost flights, so it's certainly cool to see that the mainline comes in here to take all those passengers where they need to go. And of course, as we know, the McAllen itself is bigger than Brownsville, so it makes sense why this is mainline. And I'm sure people drive from let's see here. I'm sure people drive from McAllen to Brownsville since it's pretty quick if they do want to go to Burbank year-round on a Velo, now that they have that. So Allegiant does operate it seasonally, like I said. So certainly pretty cool right here as well. And I know I'm a little early to it, but I decided to put it in here. So here we go for the Aeromexico Connect Embraer ERJ-190. This aircraft is currently coming in from the new Mexico City Airport starting March 10th once again. I would assume it's probably an afternoonish flight, but we'll just have to see what they do, maybe a morning flight. But nevertheless, really cool to see this. This is a huge gift from McAllen. I think they're one of the smallest airports in the United States to facilitate a service to Mexico. So glad to see this. Again, Aeromar tried, it didn't go very well. So we'll see. I'm sure that McAllen will also hopefully get this expanded too, whether that's going to be service to like Monterey or Guadalajara or another city like that. So hopefully that continues to happen. But again, we're just going to have to take it one step at a time until we know just that. So ultimately, really cool right there. And then right here we have some various really cool charter aircraft, beginning right here with this Royal Atlantic McDonnell Douglas MD-83. This aircraft was supposed to go to San Salvador at 9 a.m., but that flight got canceled, so this flight's now going to be going to Vivaville, or Vivaville, hopefully I'm saying that kind of right, where the Delta MD-80s are, which is really interesting. So this aircraft was scheduled to depart at 12 p.m. and as of the time of filming this video at 5 o'clock, it still hasn't departed. So hopefully it will be going soon, but certainly very delayed there. Don't know why San Salvador got canceled. Very interesting at the very least. But again, what can you do besides reflect on World Atlantic being here? So certainly glad to see them, and that's absolutely fantastic. Now right here, this is a JetBlue Airbus A320. This will be substituting for a blue Global X Airbus A320. I didn't have any aircraft that was really good for this, so I apologize. Nevertheless, this aircraft is currently coming in from Miami as G6180, interesting code. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 4:49 p.m., but ends up arriving at 4:37 p.m., so that's 12 minutes ahead of schedule, good for a flight time of 2.5 hours. And now it's going to be heading out to, they have a charter service like every 5 days, which is really cool. I think it's the place in Honduras. We'll also see that Harlingen has it too. I think it's San Plo something. I can't remember it fully off the top of my head, but certainly really cool to see this service. So yeah, absolutely fantastic to see Global X getting in on the charter ops here, especially during peak time, and it's really cool to see that. So ultimately, really nice to see that, and that's absolutely fantastic right there. So again, sorry it's not a Global X model, but hopefully one will get done in the future, and I'll definitely get it. And who knows, maybe we'll revisit McAllen just to see this. And right here we have this UPS Boeing 757-200. Yes, McAllen does have cargo service, so that's absolutely fantastic. This aircraft's coming in from Louisville today as 5X796. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 6:23 a.m., but ends up arriving at 6:42 a.m., so just a few minutes behind for a flight time 2 hours and 40 minutes. So glad that McAllen has cargo service, and of course they're going to need it since Brownsville doesn't, and we'll see what the cargo is looking like at Harlingen, as that's certainly going to be a talent show. I'll let you know in advance. So yeah, McAllen's looking really good, very pleased with the services. So now we'll hop over to our another airport. So let's get on the bus, everybody, and take it over there and see what we can find. Let's go get on board, everybody. Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the Valley International Airport serving Harlingen, Texas. So really excited for this airport as well. It is a really cool one. So very similar to Brownsville in regards to how it looks, but as you can see, it has 7 gates instead of 4 gates. So that's really cool. And it's also, you got all the gates filled here. So how fantastic is that? So yeah, Harlingen's a really cool airport. So welcome aboard from our field trip over from McAllen. So as you can see here, kind of similar with regards to what you would expect with Southwest out here. We do have some other carriers to take a look at here too, so that's really cool. So this actually splits between McAllen and Brownsville. It's north, east, and northwest of both of them. So as you can see here, looks really good. They got some different air service too, so it's a really cool airport, and really excited to take a look at everything that we have going on here at Harlingen. So let's go ahead and get into the details, boys. So this was taken over for the Harlingen Air Force Base that closed in 1962. This airport is now the Valley International Airport. It was the Harlingen Regional Airport, and they had some really interesting air service here too. But like I said, it was an Air Force base, and they had various aircraft here throughout World War II and beyond from there. But after World War II, they had, as you'd expect, Trans-Texas Airlines, and they had Douglas DC-2s and DC-3s mainly here for Harlingen, that is. And then we bounced into, of course, DC-9s. Texas International did have that service to various airports like Houston Hobby, Dallas Love Field, Little Rock, and Memphis. And they also served the DC-9s, Dallas, Fort Worth, Albuquerque, and Los Angeles, which I thought was very cool. We also had some other carriers that were flying to Monterey too, which was really cool. American Airlines, Continental Airlines, and Braniff Airlines were the 4 airlines in 1974. As American had service to Dallas and Houston Intercontinental on daily service, which was really interesting. Southwest ended up coming here in 1975, and they did fly the 727 as well, which was really cool. They flew to all their cities, and the only one that they still do not have is San Antonio. That has since been discontinued at some point in the process. Mexicana did also fly here from Mexico City and Monterey, and that was in the 1970s and the 1980s. So very cool to see that too. And Delta Airlines has been the really big story here. They have a pretty much a daily service to Minneapolis, which is super cool. I was very unaware about it. That actually started in 2013, which is really cool, between A320s and 737, or sorry, Sierra 900s, and it's since been reinstated since the pandemic, which is really cool. Taking a look to make sure that I didn't miss anything major here. Sun Country also has flown here with their 727s and DC-10s in the past, and they have since kept that service and have expanded too. So we'll be sure to talk about that too. There also was some relation with the Commemorative Air Force here, which was really cool. So that they built a 26,000 foot facility here, which was very nice. So they've done a really good job integrating that into the airport. And then I think they have since moved that over to Midland, Texas, which we'll be sure to get out there and visit that too here at some point in the future. So Harlingen does have 3 runways as well, and they've done a really good job with what they've been doing lately. So let's go ahead and talk about the air service following that history segment. Alrighty, so first and foremost, American Airlines does have nonstop service, once again, to Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport on their regional carriers only. So that's very cool to see. Then we have Delta Airlines serving Minneapolis, St. Paul. So again, I was unaware about this, but in 2013, Delta started service to Minneapolis, and they've been using mainly the Airbus airplanes. So as you can see right here, we have this Airbus A320. So a very cool service that I was unaware about, and certainly jumped off to, I thought it was a charter at first when I saw it, and then I looked and it's actually a service. They have a once daily flight to Harlingen from Minneapolis. Speaking of which, Southwest Airlines also has quite a bit of service here. They have 3 destinations. They fly daily service to Austin, Saturday and Sunday service typically, but they sometimes just Saturday or Sundays to Dallas Love Field, and then daily service to Houston Hobby as well. And also, Delta uses Gate 2, American uses Gate 4, Southwest uses Gates 5 and 6. Sun Country Airlines has service here as well, as I told you about their 727s and DC-10 operations. Now they're operating the Boeing 737s. They operate on a seasonal basis to Cancun, which started last year and went really well, and they're bringing it back for this next season. It's going to be on Wednesday, Saturday, so looking forward to that. And they'll also be flying to Minneapolis, which was what you see right here, and they operate here out of gate number 1. And last but certainly not least, United Express, of course, has their Houston service. McAllen does get the main line here at Harlingen. They do not, the Valley International Airport. I know for sure they use Gate 3. That's what's coming up on Flight Radar predominantly. But the website says they use Gate 7 and they overnight 2 planes. So either they use 7B, this is actually 7B, this is 7A, this is 7B. I'll explain why it's, I've got confused with it since. But I'm thinking that there's a possibility 7B is being utilized here for United Express. But I could be wrong on that. Not completely sure, so that's why that's italicized. But I know for sure they're using Gate 3. That's their primary gate. So ultimately, we have a bunch of really cool operations. There's also several airplanes back there that'll be exciting to get into as well. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and get started. So let me go ahead and explain the gates real quick. So I don't know what the deal is, but apparently this is 7A and 7B. I'm thinking that it got realigned to this is Gate 6 and this is Gate 7 now. I don't know what the deal is, but apparently this was 7A and 7B. That's how it should line up, but it says that this is Gate 7A. I don't know if that got rearranged since, but nevertheless, what can you do? I'm just going off of what I can find. So apologies if this is wrong, but nevertheless, I think this is where United's parking their other overnight flight, but I'm not completely sure. So again, the main United gate's down here on the other side, but I think this is where they're parking their second overnight flight. What I can confirm is this bridge does work for both these. So that would make sense with 7A, 7B. I don't know exactly how it works, but if somebody comments does know and wants to let me know, I'd greatly appreciate it. Okay, so here at gate number 7 to start today's airport update, we have the United Express Embraer ERJ-175. This aircraft's coming in for Mesa United Airlines Flight 6224 from Houston, Texas. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 7:29 p.m., but ends up arriving in at 7:43 p.m., good for a flight time of 51 minutes. So United, like I said, they have all the regional jet flights about 5 times a day to Houston. So really glad to see how much dedication they have here, and they have some big competition. So certainly glad to see that they're certainly staying consistent here in the market with their service over to Houston. Here at gate number 6, we have the Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-700. Glad to see Southwest back here in the lineup. This is the only airport they serve out of the 3 in this area. This aircraft's coming in from the Austin Bertram International Airport is WN2732. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 8:05 a.m. and ends up arriving in at 8:03 a.m. Good for 48 minutes. So this is a double daily service, which is really impressive. I thought Dallas would be 1, Austin would be 1, Houston would be, I think it's like 3 or 4. But they actually have Austin 2, which is really interesting, especially this early in the morning. I would move it over to Dallas, but what can you do? There's probably some circumstances that are going on that is influencing that. So nevertheless, though, it probably is popular considering that people want to get back and forth between the cities, see family and work and all that fun stuff. So very cool to see there with Southwest Austin. Certainly a very unique route. I'm glad that they're serving all these cities out of Austin, as we've covered, like Amarillo and Tulsa, and obviously, as you can see right here, with Harlingen. So absolutely fantastic. At gate number 5, we have the Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-800. This aircraft's coming in from the Houston Hobby Airport as WN560. This aircraft is scheduled to arrive in at 9:50 a.m., but ends up coming in at 10 a.m., good for a flight time of 44 minutes. Now, I can certainly confirm that this flight's doing well because when I was coming back from Houston Hobby about a month ago or so, well, when this video is coming out like 3 months ago, but in September of 2023, there was a flight going outbound and it was 100% full on a Wednesday night, which if you don't know, it's not a very heavy travel night. But that makes perfect sense for, again, family and all the various people that are coming in, connecting, and Southwest obviously has really great prices. So for smaller airports like this, that would certainly make a bunch of sense why it's so popular. So I'm really glad to see Southwest doing well. This service is about 3 or 4 times a day, so it's a really good one, and certainly glad that they're instating a really good service here at the Harlingen Valley International Airport. So how can you complain with that? That's absolutely fantastic. So glad to see Southwest going really well there. Again, they also have Saturday and Sunday service to Dallas Love Field typically. So very nice to see that right there. At gate number 4, we have this American Eagle Embraer ERJ-175 on the behalf of Envoy Air. This flight's coming in from Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. This is American Airlines Flight 3601. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 2:38 p.m., but ends up arriving in at 2:31 p.m., so 7 minutes early for a flight time of 1 hour and 12 minutes. So I'm glad to see American doing well with their service 4 to 5 times a day, just 1 overnight usually, and they're doing good with that. So glad to see they're doing well, and maybe we'll be seeing mainline here as we have more mainline jets up ahead. Next up right here at gate number 3, we have this United Express Mitsubishi CRJ-200 LR. This aircraft's operating United Airlines Flight 5259 from Houston, Texas. It's scheduled to arrive in at 11:24 a.m. This aircraft arrives in 30 behind at 11:55 a.m. Good for a flight time of 54 minutes. Again, this is their primary gate squashed in here. I don't know what's going on with gate 7, but the website says they use it, and they overnight 2 planes. So either one comes off of this gate and goes to a hard stand overnight, or one parks down there at that gate. I think it's probably the latter, although that's a great question. So pretty interesting though why they would be so far split up. Probably confusing for locals, but nevertheless, what can you do when they come for you? Okay, getting into the real talent show down here. I was, once again, really surprised by this, but how cool is this? Right here, gate number 2, we have this Delta Airlines Airbus A319-100. This aircraft's coming in from Minneapolis, St. Paul as Delta Airlines Flight 1314. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 2:30 p.m., but ends up arriving in at 2:21 p.m. Good for a flight time of 3 hours and 7 minutes. Really smart here of Delta to pull off Minneapolis. You know, obviously, Harlingen stays pretty warm during most of the year, and then you can go right off the beach or whatever you want to do. So I think it's leisure, and also, you know, there's plenty of connections to be done. And another really interesting component, I think, especially for these airports in Texas that are smaller. Yes, you can connect to many places from Dallas, but at the same time, Minneapolis does open up a whole new array of destinations to connect to, because while American does have their Kalispells and Fresnos and places like that, well, Fresno's not really a good one, rather I should say Spokane and those places, Minneapolis does open up to a bunch of small places in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and that area that Dallas doesn't facilitate. So it is a really critical service, and I think it's a really good one. I would love to see the breakdown of people going just straight to Harlingen or people coming in from somewhere else. But I'm sure it's a pretty popular service. They operate it pretty much on every day of the week, so it's really cool. It's mainly also an Airbus A320, but my Airbus 320 model isn't very good. I don't have the NG one yet when I'm filming this video, so I just decided to go for the 319 here. So ultimately looking good though, and I think they're doing a good job with that service right there. And then right here we have this Sun Country Airlines Boeing 737-800. This aircraft is currently coming in from Minneapolis, St. Paul today as SY621. This aircraft is scheduled to arrive in at 12:41 p.m. and I'll be sure to throw on the screen what the actual times were. I tried to get the Monday information. I wasn't able to get a graphic of that in time before it disappeared on Flight Radar, so apologies that I don't have the actual time. Hopefully it came in early and should be about a flight time of a little over 3 hours as well. So again, Sun Country operates in Minneapolis. That's been their staple for a long time, conducting that on 727s and DC-10s, and obviously now they're over to the 737, which looks really nice here at gate number 1. They also operate now the Cancun from here, which I think is a really smart addition. There's no competition there, and it's a nice little hop, and they have a big operation during the summer there, so excited for that to come back Wednesday, Saturday next year. And then Sun Country varies throughout the season, but typically is year-round, although it can vary. So yeah, really great for Sun Country being in this market. I think it makes a bunch of sense, keeps Delta prices low, but also gives, it's kind of impressive how many times a day they do it as well. I think many people in Minneapolis just try to look for a cheap beach spot to go to, and they see Harlingen on the board, and that's what stands out. But there may be another reason, I don't know. Maybe it's demographically based or something like that. So ultimately though, I think that's really cool and absolutely love to see that for the boys. So that is looking absolutely fantastic. We also have a Learjet 75 there in the middle. There was a flight that was going between here and McAllen, so I thought it was too good to not put in the update, so that's what we have right there. So that's looking absolutely fantastic. Very nice. Okay, so we have an absolute magnitude here of various aircraft, cargo, and passenger related. So let's go ahead and dive into these. Okay, so this JetBlue is back, and you probably can guess what it's going to be doing. So this will be operating for another Global X flight once again. This will be Global X flight let's see here. Did I not get a graphic for Global at, okay, I got it only for McAllen. That was my fault. Okay, well, luckily here on the flight board, I can pull it up right here. So this aircraft is going to be operating a Global Airlines flight. And where did it go? Apologies, guys. I'm trying to find all the airports get overtwined, so it's sometimes tough to focus on exactly what we're doing here. Let's see if I can find it right here. Where is it? Where are you? Okay, well, nevertheless, I'm going to have to get a different arrival, which is okay. So there's also these Global A320s coming from some really interesting places. So this is going to be one that we're going to have the example of. This aircraft is currently coming in from Alexandria. I think that's Louisiana, I'm pretty sure. This aircraft is going to be operating G6696. This aircraft was scheduled to depart at scheduled to arrive at 6:11 p.m., but it's going to end up arriving here at 6:08 p.m., so it's on time. Flight time should be like, I think, an hour and 30 minutes or so. So yeah, really cool. So they come in from various places, and then they're flying to that place in Honduras once again from here too, and also to San Salvador. So really interesting charters here for Global X. I don't know how they're doing it, how they're facilitating it, but it's really cool to see, and I think that that's certainly been very popular here at McAllen and Harlingen. So really cool to see that, but certainly couldn't pass on not featuring that right here. Okay, and then over here we have two Swift Boeing 737-400 substitutes. I apologize that they're not perfect, but nevertheless, here we go. So here's this, this is Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-300, but Swift actually picked these up from Southwest, so I thought it was pretty close. So nevertheless, here we go for this Swift Boeing 737-300. This aircraft is WQ3717 from San Pedro Sula. So that is a place in Honduras that they've been chartering to from the South Texas cities. So very cool to see that. I don't know exactly what's going on with it, but I think it's really cool. So that's absolutely fantastic. So that's what we have right there. And don't get confused. This Coletta 737-400 is the closest I have to a Swift Boeing 737-400. So that's what we're representing here. This aircraft is flying in as WQ3402 from Columbus, Georgia. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 1:14 p.m., but ends up arriving in at 1:13 p.m. Good for a flight time of 2 hours and 2 minutes. So very cool to see this here as well. well. So this is coming in, and then it was going to fly outbound flight to one of the other destinations. And also for the 733, this aircraft is scheduled to arrive in at 1:55 p.m., but ends up arriving in at 1:52 p.m. Good for flight time of 2 hours and 13 minutes. So not bad considering how far down there that is. That's really good. Very, very nice. Okay, and then we have the cargo trifecta for the finish of the talent show. So what a cargo operation we have here. I'm really impressed by it. So let's go ahead and take a look. Beginning right here with this DHL Boeing 737-800 freighter, I thought it was super cool that these fly here, and somehow I have the model of all three of these, so how great is that? This aircraft arriving in from Cincinnati, Ohio as K5507. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in at 6:24 a.m., but ends up arriving in at 6:23 a.m., good for flight time at 2 hours and 56 minutes. So glad to see Cincinnati getting some really big representation, and guess what? That is not the only Cincinnati flight we have here. So the aforementioned details do apply for this McCauley Boeing 757-200. Very cool. I'm really surprised. I thought this would have been Miami, but again, this is CVG as M6591. This aircraft was scheduled to arrive in much earlier though at 2:57 a.m., but ends up arriving at 2:56 a.m., so 1 minute early, 2 hours and 45 minutes, so a little bit quicker for that guy, whether it was winds or the actual plane itself. But yeah, very cool to see double Cincinnati's, and I think it's treating the airport very well to get that cargo in here, especially considering Brownsville, which is really nearby. It's like 15 minutes away, doesn't have any of it. And last but certainly not least, we do have a big heavy aircraft to finish it out. This is going to be a FedEx Express Boeing 767-300 freighter. This is operating FX926 from Memphis, Tennessee. This aircraft is actually coming in the evening, scheduled to arrive in at 7:31 p.m., but ends up making it in early at 6:39 p.m., good for flight time of an hour and 43 minutes. So very cool to see that FedEx picked Harlingen, the Valley International Airport, might be runway length, I don't know, and then McAllen actually picks UPS. Probably not runway length, but some facility or something like that probably influences that. So yeah, that's the Valley International Airport. Really cool one. All these charters, this pretty much happens every day. These three are here, and then the Swifts are always here, and then Global X pretty much every day. So this is a regular lineup, which is really cool. So it's absolutely fantastic. But I really hope that you enjoyed today's update of not only McAllen, not only Brownsville, but also Harlingen as well. That was really cool to go on this field trip. And you know, all three of these airports are very similar, yet pretty different. They all could have been their own video, but I thought, you know, once I got McAllen and Brownsville put together, I thought it was only fair to take on Harlingen. And you know, it's very similar, but at the same time, it's probably different enough I could have made its own video, but might as well put them all together. They're right next to each other, so it's the only time I was going to be able to do it. So might as well knock it out here. And next month, I don't know where we're going, so we'll have to see. But I hope each and every one of you are looking forward to it. So yeah, with all that being said, everybody, and feel free to comment below if you have any suggestions. It may have already been recorded at this point, but if I am able to take your suggestion, I will get it into the lineup as soon as I can. So with all that being said, everybody, that'll do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you all enjoyed today's video. My name is Redriveraviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust the process. Do you love and love you do. My name is Redriveraviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as Redriveraviation is signing off.